Okay, we all think we know what the United States is, right? But what if I told you that one interpretation of history says a single act of Congress back in 1871, well, it allegedly changed everything?
And that brings us to this really provocative question. Is the United States a country or is it a corporation? I know, it sounds a little out there, but a theory we're going to dig into today claims a specific law from 1871 did exactly that.
So, to really get this theory, we have to rewind a bit, back to the 1860s. The Civil War had just ended, and America was, well, it was financially devastated. The government was desperate, and I mean desperate, for a way to handle its massive debt. And the supposed solution? The District of Columbia Organic Act of 1871. Now, on the surface, it just looked like a bill to, manage the capital city. But according to this theory, its real purpose was to completely reshape and centralize federal power.
So, what exactly changed? Well, the theory goes that this created a massive fundamental shift. Before 1871, the states held most of the power. Washington was pretty weak. But after this act, the federal districts started operating much more like a centralized corporation. And look, this distinction is absolutely crucial. Think about it. In a republic, the citizens are sovereign, right? They're in charge. But in a corporation, it's the shareholders who rule. The argument here is that this act started to blur those lines, making you wonder, who's really in charge? So you gotta ask, why? Why would this even happen? Well, proponents of this whole idea point to one very simple, very powerful motivation: money. It always seems to come back to the money, doesn't it? And from a financial angle, the logic is actually pretty straightforward. A corporation can issue bonds and borrow money way more easily than a fractured republic could at the time. The theory is that this new corporate structure was basically created to get new loans, to secure financing from big international bankers. Here's a little detail that supporters point to as a symbol of this whole shift. Have you ever noticed how United States is often written in all capital letters on official documents? Well, they claim that's not just for style. It's meant to represent the corporate entity, which is separate from the original republic.
Okay, so let's fast forward. If we accept this theory, even just for a moment, what are the ripple effects? How does this legacy play out today?
Well, the alleged long-term consequences are huge. We're talking about the basis for centralized taxation, the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913, the explosion of corporate lobbying, and a system where it can feel like contracts and money matter more than your actual vote. It's a really powerful way to reframe history, isn't it? The idea is that the Civil War, the one fought with soldiers, ended in 1865. But